Sarasvati said, "Dear Leela, in dream, the dream body appears to be real. But when there is an awakening to the fact of dream, the reality of that body vanishes. Even so, the physical body which is sustained by memory and latent tendencies is seen to be unreal when they are seen to be unreal. At the end of the dream, you become aware of the physical body. At the end of these tendencies, you become aware of the ethereal body. When the dream ends, deep sleep ensues. When the seeds of thought perish, you are liberated. In liberation, the seeds of thought do not exist. If the liberated sage appears to live and to think, he only appears to do so, like a burnt cloth lying on the floor." It's a rather strange simile. This is, however, not like deep sleep nor unconsciousness, in both of which the seeds of thought lie hidden. One of the concerns of the Yoga Vasistha is to convey the dreamlike nature of what we normally consider to be physical reality. And one of the ways we do that is to actually consider the nature of dreams, our relationship with dreams, and waking up from dreams. Now, what happens then if we wake up from this dream of what we consider to be physical reality? It's saying here that we attain liberation and the seeds of thought have died. I've mentioned before, I have a bit of a problem with this. I don't think the seeds of thought ever die. And it's saying here, you became aware of the ethereal body. As we're going to find, what's going to happen soon is Sarasvati and Leela are basically going to take what we might describe as a trip on the astral plane. They're basically doing astral projection, and I think what Venkatasananda is calling the ethereal body here is we'd normally call the astral body. And I'm a bit unsure about the relevance of this here. And I mean, what's clear is this astral body. I'm going to say a bit about astral projection, but what I'm going to say is it's nothing to do with liberation. It's not got anything to do with liberation. Whereas here it's being couched in these terms, that if you're liberated, then you become aware of this ethereal body, and you can travel the planes of the imagination. So you do not need to be liberated to be aware of the ethereal body. There are plenty of people who have this talent. They can either develop it, or it's a natural talent for them. And so what I'm saying is, you do not need to be liberated in order to do this, to take this kind of journey, or to have this awareness of this subtle, ethereal or astral body. And I'd also argue it's actually not necessarily a sign of liberation either. My argument is that liberation is about not being caught up in the seeds of thought. It's not being caught up in thought, and it's about not creating new thoughts or new seeds to get caught up in. Yeah, but let's press on. By the persistent practice, abhyasa, egotism is quietened. Then you will naturally rest in your consciousness. That's okay. And the perceived universe heads towards the vanishing point. The perceived universe heads towards the vanishing point. It sounds like some CGI special effect, doesn't it? Like something out of 2001: A Space Odyssey. I mean, the perceived universe heading towards the vanishing point. I mean, what happens is you step aside from being caught up in notions of a perceived universe. So it does vanish. In that sense, the notions vanish. But there's some important stuff here about practice, abhyasa. Abhyasa is that practice of directing the attention back to itself. It's normally goes hand in hand with dispassion or vairagya, and these are the two limbs of yoga. So it is about this practice is, you need to be immersed in this practice. It is the practice of the spiritual practitioner. Thinking of that alone, speaking of that, conversing of that with one another, utter dedication to that one alone, this is called abhyasa, or practice by the wise. When one's intellect is filled with beauty and bliss, when one's vision is broad, when passion for sensual enjoyment is absent in one, that is practice. When one is firmly established in the conviction that this universe has never been created, and therefore it does not exist as such, and when thoughts like "this is world," "this I am," do not arise at all in one, that is abhyasa, or practice. It is then that attraction and repulsion do not arise. The overcoming of attraction and repulsion by the use of will force is austerity, not wisdom. That's a good point. You don't struggle with sensual desire. It's something which you lose interest in. You're struggling with it. You're not. This is not a spiritual practice. So this is good stuff, and that's what's important. Not this stuff about astral projection, which we're going to be embarking on. At this stage, evening set in and the court dispersed. Early next morning the court assembled, and Vasistha continued his discourse. Vasistha continued, O Rama, Sarasvati and Queen Leela immediately sat in deep meditation or nirvikalpa samadhi. They had risen above body consciousness. Because they had given up all notions of the world, it had completely vanished in their consciousness. They roamed freely in their wisdom bodies. Though it seemed that they had travelled millions of miles in space, they were still in the same room, but in another plane of consciousness. So they're about to take this extraordinary trip